Alright guys, Beeline here back with more House of Ashes. Can continue on. I'm probably going to listen to the podcast because there's so much to listen to right now. So, let's do that. So finish live feed update. So I need the round table. Alright. But Survivor Cast just came out. Probably going to listen to that podcast pretty soon as well. Okay, yeah, now it's a bit dark.
Then customize your down payment and monthly payment. And these aren't made up numbers. It's what you'll really pay, right down to the penny. Whether you're shopping or just looking. It only takes a few seconds and it won't affect your credit score.
I guess it is still dark.
A totally different way to finance your ride. Only from Carvana, the new way to buy a car.
Let's see. So now, what we do with the stopwatch, of course, is that we go through each player and we rate them.
Why is the camera so fucked?
To 10, with 10 being the best. They're playing as well as they conceivably could play, and 1 being the worst. They could not be playing worse. They're basically they basically have no chance to win the game. They're
interesting. These are different descriptions that you normally use. So I am sensing the direction you're going to go with your rating. The best they can conceivably play, not like the best ever Danky Sling level like you normally say. This is the best that they can do as an individual.
Stand down,
so like, is Chris Katina play best as Chris Katina?
Oh, I went down? Oh, I thought it was like defending her.
I tend to look at 3 main factors, which is, how well did they play in the period of time that we're rating? Like, did I agree with their decisions? Are they doing a good job with what they have in front of them? And then I look at, like, short-term safety. Are they an immediate target for this week or next week? Are they looking like they could go home soon? And then long-term, viability in terms of, like, can they win this game if they get to the end? How likely are they to ultimately take the crown? This Celebrity Edition, obviously, as I said, if we're rating them completely in line with how we might normally rate regular players, then I don't know that anyone would go above a 5. We may have slightly curved grading scales, but it's very individual. Melissa may have different criteria, Asia may have different criteria, different curves, and so we'll see where we go. I also did poll the audience, so the audience will get a voice here as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say it might make sense to do the audience one first for our first one, just so I can see what the audience has been thinking.
Yes. So for me, I will say, I think up front, I'm giving them like a little bit of a boost. A little bit of a boost, just so that, like, it's not everyone's like a 2 and a 3, right? Like, I want to provide an upper limit because I do think there are players like Ross and Tamar and Candy and Ariadna. Like, I think there have been some pretty decent players on Big Brother Celebrity, and those players, like, if those players are going to get a 7 or an 8 or whatever, then I don't want to give Lamar a 6 or a 7, where it's like, we got to be within the celebrity realm. But I guess if we were like, what is the top level celebrity? Let's assume that's something like a 10. That kind of shifts the scale down a little bit, and I think that helps. So let's start with Carson, and I can give the audience rating here first, that we want some level of scale.
Just so we can get a feel.
So out of 10, the audience decided to give Carson a 5. 5 out of 10. I think Carson is probably very well liked. I think he has social skills. Genuinely, like a compliment in my head before I spoke it, and then I spoke it. I was like, that's an underhanded compliment. But he is charismatic. I do think that if he was like, if he was hungrier for it, like if he was earlier in his career, he didn't have as much money, he didn't have as much fame, and he really cared to win this. this. I feel like he could be a force there. I do, though, think that his lack of ambition in this game is a huge limiting factor for Carson. I do, like I said, I think he has the pieces. He can even win competitions. He just doesn't have the thing driving him. Like, somebody needs to piss him off. Because Cynthia is also not into the game, but she at least is like, I gotta get Nisha out, though. Carson doesn't even have that, like, as much, right? He needs to be pissed off by somebody and have a motivation to really get his head in the game. But he doesn't really have that at the moment. And so, that's definitely not great. Add on top of that, for me at least, Nisha won this HOH. She's pretty dead set on targeting Carson, and you're looking at some really not great things here. So, for me, I would have given Carson something like a 4, but ultimately I have to go down to a 3 because it's looking like he's probably going to go home. The feeds are currently down for nominations, but I fully expect Carson to be up there, and if he doesn't win this veto, it's probably him that's leaving this cycle. And so, it's got to be pretty low. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see what you're saying. I think generally, if he cared, he would be here. He could be a pretty good player. He won the veto last week, or last cycle, and so he's a competitor. He can win things. The only problem is that I think he would try to, like, if he gets nominated this round, I think
I'm an idiot. I literally, like...
But I do think that if he did win the veto, and it seemed like, I mean, it was like him and Cynthia out there, I bet he'd just be like, oh, no, you stay, that's fine. I don't think there'd be any fight from him to be like, keep me, please, I'll stay. Like, I don't think he cares. Like, I think he'd be totally fine with just, oh, well, I tried for the veto, it didn't happen, I'm going home, everyone wants me out, like, that's done. So I do think that, if he cared more, he could be really good, but at this point, like, he's very, I totally understand the 5 that the audience gave him, and I would as well, but this is going to be a bad week for him, or a tough week for him. He's the main target, and that's never good. So unless he wins the veto, he's pretty much in a bad spot. So I'm going to give him a 4.
Yeah, so with Carson, it's difficult because, yes, he's found himself in a position to be a target, but then, yeah, he's also in that, you have the top tier of people who don't want to be there. And then it's kind of like how you and Maggie explained it, Taryn, of like, the A and the B and the J. So maybe, okay, let's say the first tier, people that don't want to be there. Where Carson is just a step above that, where it's just like, he's capable. So could he win veto? It's very possible. His competition is very, he's probably going to be competing against 1 or 2 other people who care to win. I will say I was very impressed that he was the only one to get the answers correct on his first try in the veto. So my hopes are kind of high for him going into this veto, if he does find himself on the block. So because of that, I do feel I was kind of battling somewhere between a 4 and a 6 for him, only because I think that, if he finds himself in a position of danger, he could win. But then, yeah, it comes down to, at the end of the week, is he walking around campaigning, trying to stay? Probably not. Probably baking a cake. So because of that, I have to land it at 4 as well.
Yes, this is also interesting because normally we do these ratings after the veto has been played, and we pretty much know what the final nominations are going to be and what the plan is for who's going to be evicted. At this point, we're doing them as the nominations are taking place right now, and the veto has yet to be played, and that could, of course, change everything. On top of that, by the next time we do these ratings, not only will Nisha's HOH have eliminated somebody else will win an HOH and eliminate somebody, and then somebody new will win HOH.
Wait, wasn't the Wolf Among Us thing specifically?
Oh,
it's right now.
Will come and go before
it's in... Yeah, it's pretty much in
which will obviously also have impact.
Actually, you know what? Fuck it. Let's watch the Wolf Among Us.
The Winter Olympics, after a short program for the ages, Nathan Chen is in position to win.
2 minutes. Yeah, I'm interested in seeing this. I'm assuming we'll get a date. He's supposed to get this for this year.
Merwin! Jason! Jason!
Jason.
Jason!
Why is the
Close
camera so
range.
shit?
I'm coming.
That didn't scare me at all, but whatever.
I'm kidding me.
So far, I just haven't been able to take this game seriously. Like, it's...
Fuck is this place?
40 seconds.
That you, Nick?
Ain't that something? Where on God's green earth have we landed?
We need to get back topside, regroup with the rest of the squad, and signal for medevac. This place ain't no weapons silo, but it's
Here
sure
we
as
go.
fuck crawling with Iraqis. Nick?
Sergeant K, pull yourself together.
That was loud.
All good.
The
Just
wolf
wasn't expecting
has
to
been
suddenly
lurking
fall into the fucking...
ever since Bigby surprised
I hear you.
everyone at the
Really
Game Awards in
weird they're doing
2019.
this individual event for it.
Quiet about the development of the
Never
Wolf
seen
Among Us
anything
2.
like this.
Well, I'm happy to say
Hell is
that
this
ends
place?
today, right now. We're about to see more,
Done
learn
history
more,
at school.
and sink our fangs into what's next for Telltale. I'm Jim Keeley, and before we get to everything else, and we've got a lot of information to share today, this is what you've been waiting for. The first official
You don't feel
trailer
it.
for The Wolf
What,
Among
Nick?
Us 2.
Feel what exactly?
Okay. So is there more than just this?
You're listed here as a private investigator. What does that
You
sort
sure
of
about
work
that?
entail?
Depends on the night. Most nights it's watching, waiting for a slip up. I don't know, someone gets greedy, someone gets brave.
It looks slightly better.
And
So
that's
that's
what you were
okay.
doing the night of the incident.
Yeah. Took me weeks to track them down. They hadn't cast so much as a shadow. Till that night.
You've been hesitant to share with
This
us.
thing is heavier than it looks. Give me a hand. I'm gonna need some
I
more
assume
muscle.
it has something to do
Jim
with
again.
confidentiality associated with the job.
Let's move.
Jesus, I'm trying. Will you stop squirming around? It's bad. He's bleeding out. We have to cut him down right now.
Hold tight, buddy. We got you. Nick, I need you here.
Cut the wires!
Said things didn't go as planned.
So fuck. Oh, okay.
You don't think I can hear you? You're gonna pull through, brother. Check it out. There's morphine in my pack. Grab it.
What a weird tone
We're
for
gonna pump
a
you.
trailer.
Okay?
Hurry the hell up!
We got this. You keep lookout. Fuck!
Look out for what?
Jesus, who the hell loaded these packs? What just happened?
Country 3. Damn. I thought it would be this year. So okay, let's go. I'm not sure what you said.
Let's go! But I should follow back up for a second. 9 years ago, Telltale brought the Fable's comics to life.
He's bleeding out! You gotta take care of this!
It captures gamers' imagination.
This will be 10-year anniversary.
Are in fact real, living in New York City. Over 9 months, taking the story away, including the hearts of gamers, Telltale's narrative style, amazing comic noir.
The good version or the bad version?
Double that.
Give it to him straight.
While a sequel was announced, the original Telltale shut down.
Fucking bad.
He's out there, he's throwing them down on us.
Game Awards in December of 2019. Telltale Reborn.
Hold it,
With
fucking
production of a brand new season of The Wolf Among Us about to start. After that brief teaser of the show, Telltale went to work on The Wolf Among
Why are we getting a full one in the history?
relatively silent until now. To talk more about why and what's been happening in the background, we've got Telltale CEO Jamie Ottley and Nick Herman from Anthology to answer some of the big questions everyone's been asking.
We're so fucked.
Didn't I just tell you to keep your shit together?
They're coming for us.
Nick, you're killing him!
Now they can finally talk about it and tell us more about the why and what's been happening in the background. We've got Telltale CEO Jamie Ottley and Nick Herman from Ad Hoc.
Nick, you're choking it!
Season 1.
It doesn't even know what
Can't be. I didn't mean
Be strong, Mike. Marwin's dead.
Before we get into the content, Jamie, let's talk about
Why'd they bother doing all this weird green screen?
Godfathers, which is the quintessential New York dive bar, but now redone in beautiful Unreal Engine. One of the things that we're also excited about, especially seeing the trailer, it's like how faithful it is to the original season 1, but enhanced graphics, but still an amazing story, which is why we're all here from Telltale. We love the story and the characters. So Nick, tell us a bit about the story. Like, what can you tell us about
well, as we saw in the trailer, baby's in anger management. He's kind of dealing with a lot of those issues still. And, season 2 is still a prequel to the comics, but it takes place about 6 months after season 1, kind of the dead of winter. And, people seeing his new look, he's got that coat.
6 months later.
Now, you mentioned 6 months between the end of season 1 and the start of season 2. Can you at least tell us a little bit of what these characters have been up to in the intervening 6 months?
Yeah, I mean, Bigby, as you saw, is now kind of in anger management, but kind of more importantly, he's been suspended from his role as sheriff and he's a protector of Fabletown. And Snow White, at the end of season 1, Snow White has kind of found herself in this new role as deputy mayor because the sort of old administration is out, they were corrupt, and you kind of rooted that out. And she's got to fill those shoes now. She's kind of got some big ideas on how that's going to happen, but it clashes with Bigby's way of doing things. He's not super personable, and kind of results to some tactics that are less than kosher. So there's a little bit of tension there, and now he's in a new situation where he's not in Fabletown and he's kind of out there, and that leads him to meet this detective who is working on this case that kind of blurs the lines between the Fable and Mundy world.
Well, of course, everyone wants to know which characters, which Fables are going to be represented in this game. We knew he would be back, but beyond that, what can you tell us about which characters are returning? You talked about Snow, obviously, there's certain characters that we would expect to be there, but can you confirm anyone that is going to be there, is not going to be there? Can you deny? Can you say who's not in the game?
We could probably talk a little bit about who else is going to be there. Obviously, as you said, Bigby and Snow will be back reprising their roles. And then there's some fan favorites like Buffkin that'll be there, and then there's some new characters that we're introducing in the trailer. Do you have any favorites from season 1? I was going to say there's some
So they literally just said there was nothing.
There are some Oz characters in the Ether.
So if they're in the trailer, does that mean they might be in the game?
I think we can probably confirm that. It's probably confirmed. We probably just showed you that.
But that was,
that's part of what I think everyone's loved about this series is so many of the, the classic fables represented. And for you guys looking at this, I mean, that's part of the fun of this, right? Is picking where the story is going to go. What I love is that, you're not just telling the comics again. So you have a lot of creative storytelling freedom to sort of come up with this, and that must be part of the fun of this series, right? You can kind of pull from anything.
Yeah, and one of the best parts about fables is how they sort of subvert your expectations of what these characters are actually like and what they would be like now, versus the old sort of fables from over in Europe, and now it's modernized and they've changed. They're maybe they were that person, but now they're not. You can look at Bigby's, classic example. But yeah, and the other sort of big character that we're introducing is a detective, Faye Young. She's a NYC, New York City police detective who's basically in the middle of a case that doesn't quite look right. And once Bigby gets his eyes on it, it's like clear, something's leaking out into the city.
So, like Oscar, we talked about that. They're going to be in there doing, I don't know how much you can say, like, are we looking just at, like, episode 1 here in this trailer, or is this kind of across the season, or, like, what can you tell us?
The trailer's pretty focused on episode 1 to set up where we're going in this.
So there's still episodes.
Yeah, but I mean, if they're in the beginning, you could probably expect to see them again a little bit later.
We would hope so.
I don't think we would introduce such cool characters.
Not use them.
Not yet.
You know what happens in episode 1, right? So it's like everything can change. No, that's part of the thing I think people know you're going to get and everyone's also curious about what the cadence is going to be.
Something could go like Strange.
Telltale's known for incredible episodic games, and that's one thing maybe we should talk about. Like, this is the new Telltale, and you're using a new engine, which everyone's really excited about with Unreal. So is that probably the biggest shift, is like moving to new technology finally?
That's a big part of it. We've developed a lot of tools to enable content creation and kind of iteration quickly around Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
So it really lets us focus on what's unique to Telltale games, or in the case of Wolf, we needed a specific renderer to get the lighting and the look correct in Unreal. And then Unreal takes a lot of heavy lifting off of our shoulders, right? And it just works. So we can focus on what we need to do to make the game work.
From a gameplay perspective, though, can you talk a little bit about like the Telltale style? It's still the same gameplay style in terms of dialogue and choices and things like that. Like, with Unreal, does it allow more kind of gameplay for lack of a better term?
It definitely gives us more options, but I mean, people should, I think there's a delicate balance we're gonna have to walk of like, taking advantage of all this sort of new opportunity, creating space, but also,
not a third-person action game.
Yeah, we got to keep it sort of rooted in its foundation and like what people love about the first one. Like, there are definitely going to be some additions. There's going to be some. We took a look at everything and we kind of assessed whether or not it was intentional or if it was something that was just the way we had to make it. Prior games.
Well, and the thing that we all want is great stories and great voices, and we're really excited that 2 of the actors from the original series are back again as Bigby and Snow,
2.
and we're going to hear from them right now.
Oh shit.
As promised, we've got Bigby himself, Adam Harrington, and Snow White, voiced by Aaron Yvette, with us today. Adam, Aaron, first of all, welcome back to The Wolf Among Us. We've been dedicated to this. How do you characters like?
To be honest, even though it has been, I feel like we might feel the same.
Ah, fuck.
We became so close, spent so much time with them. All the other work that it becomes more like family. The characters, the folks at Telltale we're working with. So it really is, it's like coming home.
It's mostly just his voice, just like slightly gruffer.
There's still some problem. We're still trying to get fans are going to make sure that it gets done. Our heads are going to
Yes, very high expectations.
Yeah. I mean, like Adam said, like after 9 years, you might have an awkward hug at the beginning, but you fall right back into that rhythm. I mean, it's in our hearts. And yeah, I'm a player and a fan of the series too, so I'm right with the fans. I am very excited for season 2, but I think we all deserve it.
And your characters, I'm sure you were curious about where the writers were going to take them in season 2. You know that this is 6 months sort of after the end of season 1, so I don't know what you can say or what you know, but can you give us a little bit on where the characters are at?
minutes. Yeah, the boss lady here turns out is put
This whole
our
damn place is
favorite
about to come
sheriff
down.
on kind of a timeout. So the players will be able to expect to explore more about Bigby than maybe they were able to in the first season.
Did you see
And
Sergeant K?
really
Kolchak?
let him sort of branch out into the bigger world, figure out what he thinks
Something's
is
interfering
right
with
and
the
wrong,
signal.
what he thinks is good and bad.
Versus what Snow tells him is good and bad.
Yeah. Like I said,
I think there's going to be a shift in the dynamic between the two of them. I mean, in season 1, Snow is just finding her footing at the
I'm pretty
business
good at looking
office,
after myself
and
here.
together they uncover all this corruption, which Snow is driven to do something about, but doesn't quite know how. So in season 2, we see she's now deputy mayor. She's stepped up. She has power now, and I don't think she doesn't want to blow it. So she doesn't want to be seen as playing favorites, and that might add some tension to their relationship.
God forbid.
Well, I love that you guys are back right at it as you were in season 1, and all the characters that we saw hit with Boz, other characters coming into the mix. I think it's going to be fun for you to see. Do you have any sense of where they were going with season 2? Like when they first told you, you've known for a while, obviously it's coming back, but all of us waited a couple of years since that first season in 2019.
Excuse me?
Do you have any sense of where this is going?
It's nothing. Just something I picked
When
up
we
back
saw
at
the
base.
teaser, we just knew, okay, so
Work is coming back.
This is actually
Snow
happening.
needs Bigby, and there's maybe some conflict between Bigby's natural tendencies, how far he has to go to get things done versus what Snow thinks is allowed, and that maybe they're both going to have to test their limits here.
Yeah, definitely, especially Bigby, apparently, because he definitely gets a slap.
Maybe he's already tested the limits a little too
You guys are on talking terms, and you're
There's nothing down here, then why were we attacked?
There's a war on.
together all these
People tend to shoot each other.
dialogue and all the fun stuff.
Thank God.
Yeah, I know, but that's a great thing for fans today. It's like we saw the trailer, the game looks amazing.
Yeah.
You guys are in the studio now working on it. 2023.
I guess we could classify this as quality time.
Can't wait.
Amazing. All right. Well, thanks, guys. We look forward to hearing you next year. Among Us season 2.
Yeah.
It will be worth the wait.
Yeah.
Mondays.
I can't wait for people
Does
to
this
play.
remind you of old times, Rich?
You mean the sense of feeling lost?
All right, I'm back here with Jamie and Nick. Guys, let's talk about the announcement of this. We did it together back at the Game Awards in 2019, which was a big moment, and it looked great. But I know at the time, you guys had really put that together. There wasn't a game at all, right? That was really just sort of like almost a teaser asset made specifically for the show, right?
It was. We were very much in pre-production. We were trying to stand the company back up, but we also wanted to let our fans know that we were back and that Wolf was coming. So we put that together specifically for the show as a teaser.
No, I know that's why people were like, "Oh, can't we see the game?" I was like, I think that's all that exists there coming out of that. So what has happened in the past 2 years? I think fans, have nervously
So they literally
been,
weren't
hoping
stable.
to see more on it.
Yeah,
and
it's fine.
we've been talking over the years, and it's taken you guys a couple of years to get to this point. What has that journey been like?
Well, we had quite a bit of work to do to stand the company back up and just get the basic things back in place. But most of the time, the creative team's been in pre-production on Wolf Among Us 2.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of time, fortunately, on this to kind of really focus on the story and the creative and make sure that, we're set up for success here. And, I can't really overstate how important that was for this. I think, sort of Telltale Games Pass and Wolf 1 were kind of, laying the train track as the train's going. And now we're able to kind of look at the whole season and really be, do it justice and make sure that we're happy with what we have before we hit.
Do you have the whole?
think this
How
person
many
is?
episodes? Do we know how many episodes we get?
We get 5 episodes.
Okay, I don't. All right, cool. So you sort of you've thought through the arc of the 5.
Yeah, how it should be done. But we have everything figured out now, and now it's just about executing, and that's where we're at right now.
And we saw, in the trailer 2023, so you're calling the ball for next year, not this year with it. Where are you at right now in development?
Well, we're in production. We're actively doing motion capture shoots and putting together the game. And we haven't named a date in 2023 yet because we'll ship it when it's right instead of when we need to.
No, but it's nice that it feels like, you've got stories outlined, as you said. Now it's really just sort of piecing that all together and figuring out the cadence. And has there been a lot of
like iteration or rewriting, or what's the process been like?
Yeah, a little bit, but really it's like because we've had the scripts for so long, we've been able to look at it in our games since they're so focused on the story and characters. We're able to kind of playtest it with a script. You know, it's not like you necessarily have everything.
It's a Sumerian demon.
Visual form.
Something
Although that's
beautiful.
obviously but you know, we're happy with
Great.
what we have, and we're now just at the point where we just gotta make it, you know, on screen.
Alright, well, it's here.
And being
I suppose I could
episodic,
see you on,
one of the
Phil.
things
Thanks for
I guess
watching.
sometimes was an advantage back in the day was